So the reason why some men are serial cheaters, meaning that they get in a relationship, they cheat, get caught, cheat again, get caught, cheat again. The woman may leave them, they get in another relationship, they cheat, cheat again, cheat again. He is gay.
Now, that's a huge leap, but this is projection. It's not a healthy analysis. It's never smart to reduce complex behavior to sexuality. It doesn't make you perceptive. Now, this is not an excuse for men who move recklessly. This is not a defense of ego-driven conquest. And it's definitely not a celebration of emotional voids being filled with bodies. But I am going to dismantle the belief that compulsive heterosexual behavior automatically equals hidden homosexuality. Now, if we're being honest, this take carries something else underneath. Because when you say he acts like this, he must be gay, what you're quietly doing is attaching dysfunction to sexual orientation. You're implying that something excessive, chaotic, or morally questionable must secretly belong to being gay. That's not analysis, that's homophobia. You're using gayness as a synonym for something is wrong. Now, men do sleep with multiple women to hide being gay, but to say this is why men as a whole do it is so wrong. Sexual orientation is about attraction. Behavior is about conditioning. Now, if we slow it down, really slow it down, what you often see isn't hidden desire, it's social programming. It's a boy who learned early that masculinity was something you perform, not something you embody. Some men weren't raised to understand masculinity as character. They were raised to understand it as conquest, not depth, not discipline, not emotional steadiness, numbers, scoreboards, story told in locker rooms that sounded like trophies. For some boys, manhood wasn't modeled. It was measured by how many women wanted you, how many women you could pull, how little attachment you showed after. When you see a man cycling through bodies like they're disposable, you're witnessing a nervous system trained to chase validation. A man who learned as a boy that attention equals worth. A man that was raised in a household where affection was scarce, but ego was praised loudly. A man that was raised to believe if women wanted you, you're powerful. If they didn't, you're nothing. And once that belief sets in, the brain doesn't pursue intimacy. It pursues proof. Proof that he's desirable. Proof that he still has it. Proof that he is, in fact, a man. And you can see how deep this conditioning runs when you listen to men brag about taking their son to the strip club. They say it loudly, like it's a rite of passage, like masculinity is something you hand down through exposure to women's bodies, not through integrity, not through emotional regulation, not through discipline. Exposure.
It's changed so much. I had my first son when I was just 20 years old, still hadn't gotten going in comedy and stuff. And this last weekend got to celebrate both their birthdays, had a Spider-Man party for my 2-year-old, and then I took my 21-year-old to a strip club in New Orleans.
Oh my goodness. What was that like?
I could not be prouder of him. If you want to judge what your parenting has done, take your kid to a strip club.
Think about what that teaches. It teaches a boy that desire must be proven publicly, that attraction must be performed, that manhood is confirmed in the presence of other men watching you consume women. Long before he ever touches a woman, he's told what touching her is supposed to mean. It means you're normal. It means you're dominant. It means you're not soft. It means you're not suspect. It's about proving over and over that they belong in the category labeled real man. And when masculinity is fragile, performance becomes constant. You see it in the bragging, the body counts, the need for witnesses. When something is secure, it doesn't need applause. But when a culture ties manhood to sexual access, some men don't grow into masculinity, they chase it. A man being raised in an environment where tenderness was mocked, vulnerability was punished, and emotional intimacy was feminized, he rarely ever learns how to experience connection without feeling exposed. So instead of bonding, he performs. Instead of attaching, he rotates. Not because he secretly desires men, but because depth feels dangerous, surface feels safe, because surface can be controlled. And when you understand that, the behavior stops looking like hidden orientation and starts looking like a coping strategy, as destructive as it may be, still a strategy, because at its core, a lot of hypersexual behavior in men isn't about attraction expansion. It's about identity maintenance. And reducing it to he must be gay or he is gay, that shortcut might sound clever to you, but psychology is rarely that lazy, and masculinity, especially when built on performance, is rarely that simple. Now let's flip the logic of his argument back onto itself to show that it's flawed. His claim is men who consistently cheat are actually gay. That conclusion is based on his personal experience, not a universal truth. He's taking a handful of experiences and turning them into a psychological conclusion about millions of men. But if we follow his same logic, someone could just as easily say, if you consistently end up around these kind of men, maybe that says something about the environment you operate in or the dynamics you attract. That doesn't mean it's true. Personal anecdotes are in psychology, and cheating behavior has been studied extensively, and it's usually tied to upbringing, entitlement, validation seeking, and social conditioning about masculinity, not hidden sexuality. So before we reduce complex behavior to a single word, maybe we should ask, what was he taught and how was he raised?